anyone's wondering why I'm doing the second week of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, since I only made the rule of doing 1 week of a cartoon, Nani.the.tigress went onto Patreon and paid me under Weekly People to do 5 more episodes of Foster's again. And since I'm officially doing Patreon requests after 2 years, I really want to take that commitment. So to get this out of the way, I made a new rule regarding of the requests that you gave me. If you're giving me a request of an episode or anything for me to review, you're gonna have to go on Patreon in order to do that, because I'm getting a little too stressed when it comes to my bigger project that is not going to happen next year with it being delayed. And I really need to cool down on the type of stuff that I'm going to be tackling as the months come by. And doing the request just isn't really in my blood at the moment. Regardless of me doing the request later in this month to celebrate 23 years of Jimmy Neutron, that's where I'm gonna be stopping. But with that out of the way, the first of 5 episodes that I'm gonna be reviewing from this show is Cheese A Go-Go. Well, Frankie encounters Cheese after doing errands, and Cheese wants to go somewhere, and Frankie needs to find an answer onto where Cheese needs to go. Meanwhile, Blue is watching an alien movie that he is extremely invested in, to the point that this is not his worst appearance, but what I've stated in my last Foster's review when it comes to how he's developed, truth be told, he's probably lost. But at the same time, I don't consider it as a good thing, as I'll describe more about it later. Meanwhile, Madam Foster is in court due to a sandwich situation involving Jackie. I'm just gonna say this right now, when I watched this for the first time, I didn't understand what was happening, since I was almost becoming 9 when this episode came out. But looking back at it now, and the entire meaning of this entire episode, honestly, Cartoon Network doing this alien gimmick of this show along with other shows back then was honestly one of the stupidest things that they did, and truth be told, it's one of those non-Nickelodeon ratings traps that have nothing to do with Nickelodeon, and it's weird to think that Cartoon Network is doing something like this, to the point that it's actually stupid that this episode is 22 minutes long, because it really feels like it's been stretched out. And for the majority of the episode of so many hijinks going on, honestly, if it happened in about less than 10 minutes or less than 5, I would be able to buy it. But with the majority of this episode being full of hijinks, and when it comes to Blue and Cheese being together, because Blue is so invested with the alien movie that it's just difficult for me to see his point of view. I don't understand what the writers were going for when it comes to Blue making the episode difficult to take itself seriously, or the fact that he's being in the position while the other characters aren't being supportive towards him, which is one thing of how selfish Blue is. But out of all the episodes that I've seen in later seasons of this show, this is the least selfish that Blue is. And I just really feel like that the hijinks involving Blue in this, along with Cheese, just really makes this episode really too over the top for me to find the purpose of Cartoon Network's thing of a ratings trap involving aliens back in 2007. If there's one thing I can give Cheese credit in the previous episodes that he appeared, is that he at least attempts to do something. But in this, with his only attempt is to gotta go, and it's literally the entire episode, then honestly, I find it even more difficult to believe that Cartoon Network would use him as the mascot of Cartoon Network back then, because I don't even believe in a second that any of this will make me convinced. Especially since that he does less in this, and with how him and Blue barely communicate with each other. Honestly, how did Blue not learn anything upon meeting Cheese for the first time, to the point that what they had in the first episode really meant nothing, to the point that it's really that these characters just never met as what this episode makes it out to be, as if it made the first episode involving Cheese non-canon. But I wouldn't even argue on the fact that if they actually introduced aliens to actually do something, but at the end of the day, it really makes me believe that if I watch the other episodes that Cartoon Network advertised when it comes to aliens, mainly Camp Lazlo, Ed and Eddie, and Bill and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I would probably find less of an understanding onto why that this alien thing would even work. Granted, there was more to the story onto why they did these episodes, but at the same time, looking at this episode without that knowledge, it's just basically white noise and not the good kind. When Frankie manages to bring Cheese back to his owner, the owner tells her he has to go where he got to go, as in there was no explanation on where Cheese wants to go, which makes the purpose of Frankie trying to find Cheese entirely pointless. And I guess that the purpose of Cheese in this episode is centering around Blue losing Cheese to find the aliens, but honestly, it just makes this episode even more stupid than it needed to be. And seeing Frankie bailing out Madame Foster along with the other characters that got arrested, truth be told, the logic in the later seasons are difficult for me to find any consideration onto why people would consider the later seasons as entertaining, because I can guarantee you that they probably stopped at enjoying the show in season 4, and while there may be good episodes here and there in seasons 5 and 6, especially since I'm going to be reviewing the season 5 episode later on Friday, I can't say for a fact that there are episodes that I would consider reviewing if I had the chance on giving this show a chance, despite what I stated in my last Foster's review. I'm just going to point this out that with the later episodes that I'm going to be reviewing that are part of seasons 2 and 3, it's really best that Nani.the.tigress, who requested me to review these episodes, are better choices, since that I've actually have an understanding onto why that he or she enjoys those episodes more, and this episode, along with the final episodes, the final episode on Friday, aren't really the best, but that's just basically what I think. With that being said, I'm giving Cheese a Go-Go a 3.75 out of 10, and we'll continue on with Foster's Week 2 with a Season 3 episode tomorrow.